tonight we're previewing Houston. We're going to recap a little bit more about what happened in Jacksonville because I got some things to say. But it's on to week 2, so let's get ready to do this. Sammy, go ahead and start me up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. And Bill Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. It's going to be sick. Let's go ahead and bring the boys in. Pat, Acosta, where you at? How you doing tonight, fellas?
Good. You sound a lot better tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to try this again. So if I look a little wild tonight, I'm shooting from my rental vehicle. But, hey, the show must go on. So I appreciate you guys doing your thing on Tuesday night. Sorry, I could not make my connection work, but that's neither here or there. So let's get ready to talk about Houston, right?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Awesome. So while we got your attention, please like and follow, subscribe to all that good stuff you see down below on YouTube and Facebook, Sick Podcast Amble Show, and on Twitter, Sick Pod Colts. And please just give us all love to the entire network, the entire Sick Podcast network. Too many names to mention, but follow us all. All right, so you guys did a great job of covering some things from Jacksonville. First, I'd like to say my little 2 bits before we jump into Houston. Did y'all touch on how many 4th downs on both sides of the house it was in that game?
We did not.
There had to be a record, bro. Like, I think we were 1 for 5 on 4th downs. I'm guessing Jacksonville probably went for 5 or 6 themselves. I had never seen anything like that. It looked like a John Madden football game. Everybody's going for 4th down. It's freaking crazy. So, that was one of those unique moments in that game. And plus, I mean, we had so many opportunities, right? So I know some fans were talking about what the defense didn't do and they let us down. But in my opinion, no, they really didn't. I mean, they played their tails off for the majority of the game and put us in great positions to get scoring opportunities. And the offense was just very vanilla, right? Just couldn't get anything going. And that's no, discredit to Shane Steichen. There were some boos. No discredit to Anthony Richardson, his first game. But those are the things that we got to work out. When the defense is turning the ball over for us and giving us great opportunities, we at least got to come away with 3. Most of those things we didn't even come away with 3. So that's something to learn from. And then I'm just looking at the stats. Anthony Richardson now holds the Colts franchise record for most completions as a rookie in his first game with 24. Outing was it Andrew Luck? They had 23. Peyton had like 21, I think, something like that. The kid completed on 65% of his passes, which is amazing. 223 yards. So ultimately, though those were short passes and quick plays for the most part, didn't see a lot of his big cannon arm down the field. The completion percentage was great for his first game. So I feel like he's settling in and he's only going to get better. And that leads us to Houston. This is a much talked about contest. Why? Because it's now going to be the first quarterback off the board. The second quarterback off the board versus the third quarterback off the board this year. So C.J. Stroud versus Anthony Richardson. So I'll start with you, Acosta. How are you feeling about this matchup? Is this a different Houston team because of C.J. Stroud?
I think it is going to be a little bit more different this time around in Houston, not only just because of C.J. Stroud, but because of the new coaching staff and the new head coach that they got. I feel like not only because of C.J. Stroud, but this defense being under the defensive mind of their head coach is going to be a very, very aggressive defensive team for us this year. Don't forget they have Will Anderson. They picked him up in the draft. That's sneaky draft pick. So, watch out for him being a difference maker in this game, especially with our O-line and how, they may have some weak points. One being Q might not be there this week. He's questionable to be out this week. So hopefully we get him back, especially with that monster across from us. Again, it's just going to come to a battle of wills, I think, battle of play calling. I think we'll see some bombs this time around. I think we're actually going to test Anthony's arm in the regular season this time around. I'm sorry. And I think it's going to be an exciting football game. I mean, our division's getting more and more competitive, it seems like.
It's very true. And with that said, Pat, I'll just lead right into, the things that are important. Like, what are the keys to victory this week? What must the Colts do, and how often should they do those things to come out with a W this time around?
Well, Acosta led on a couple of them. If Q's out, that's going to hurt. Because I've always said, this game is won and lost in the trenches.
Very true.
And if we lose our best asset on that O-line, that's going to hurt because the right side is still struggling with Will Fries at guard.
Aren't they? Jesus.
Who are they going to get to replace Q? Acosta was telling me that we picked up somebody from New Orleans today.
Yeah,
maybe he's ready to go. I don't know. But regardless, that connection with, somebody just walking into the facility isn't there with that line. These linemen have deep ties to each other.
Right. It's very true, man.
But, what you say, you had like 12 years, Acosta? So
I didn't.
Or if anybody knows how many years, the guy is a proven vet, so hopefully he can make all the adjustments necessary if he's got to step in. But it will start and stop at that in those trenches, especially with Anderson over there now. I mean, if you watch us play, the only one you can compare him to is J.J. Watt. And the kid's fast. He's got long arms. He knows how to get under people. He's a wrecking ball.
I mean, yes, there's some things to say there, and I also think too. I feel like they're just as much as we are when it comes to rebuilding and figuring out what they have. If you recall, last year we tied with them the first time we played them, and then they beat us pretty handedly in the last game because we were just, I don't know, we were just a shit show last year. I'll just say that. But honestly, I feel like we're the better team on paper, and I really think we're the better team on the field. Yes, losing Q would be huge, but honestly, I think the keys to this game is running backs have to do something. The running backs last week were atrocious. I mean, and I wasn't on the show Tuesday night to express my emotion. That's probably a good thing. But like I told y'all, way, 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 way back in the day, I am not a fan of Deion Jackson. No discredit to the kid. I'm not trying to talk negatively about him, but he is not in any way, shape, or form a fill-in, a gap, or anything for Jonathan Taylor. If we're going to trade Jonathan Taylor, this team is in serious trouble until we replace that. I know a lot of people are excited about Zach Moss. Zach Moss was traded to us for a reason. Again, he's going to be our starter for the foreseeable future. But let's stop being so emotional when it comes to money that's not ours to spend and just be honest and truthful. An honest and truthful portion of this is, without a doubt, this offense needs Jonathan Taylor. Period. If Anthony Richardson is going to grow and exponentially grow this season, it's going to be because he's relying on Jonathan Taylor. I do not care about the scheme. I know he's not, lined up behind center anymore. He's going to be in that, that pistol formation. There's going to be a lot of run pass options, and he'll have to adjust to that. But I don't care. Number 28 is better than any running back on our roster, and he's better than all of them combined. And people are going to tee off on, blitzing and putting pressure in Anthony's face because they don't respect the run game. Period. So everybody was.
That's why they stayed in two safeties.
Yeah. They stayed in single and two high safety the whole game, and everybody were hooping and hopping, go deep, go deep. You can't. And when he tried to make a difficult pass, what happened? It was intercepted. Because they're not respecting that, bro. An old boy fumbled twice last week. Are you kidding me?
And average, 1.4 yards per carry?
Man, I don't know. And
Something
then
ridiculous, yeah.
and we just can't catch a break. Evan Hull had a great run, which ended up being a penalty, so it was called back, and he hurt his knee on the same damn play. So it's like unreal.
And
So
now
we
sits
just
on
now
the
getting
IR.
Zach Moss back. Facts. Just now getting Zach Moss back, and now Evan Hull is on the IR. It's unreal how this works. I heard that we were potentially reaching out to guys like Fournette and still keeping in contact with Kareem Hunt and all that other stuff, and that's fine and dandy too. But you know what? Swallow the pride. And I know what I said 2 or 3 weeks ago about, Chris Ballard basically saying I'm not paying anybody, but you might have to swallow the urchin on this, Chris. This team is not the same without 28. Period. Now, talking about other keys to the victory. This defense that we have is supremely underrated. Now, I'm not going to go out here and say that the Jacksonville Jaguars are the best team in the AFC, like most people are predicting. But that's a pretty damn good offense. And they picked off Trevor Lawrence, twice? Once?
Yes.
Should have been like 3 times, honestly, because one was dropped, one hit the ground. We should have actually had like 4 or 5 turnovers. That's insane to say that in week 1 we could have walked away with 5 turnovers. That's nuts. They were able to get to him. They hit him. Calvin Ridley was their best player on offense all day. And then, of course, at some point, you're just going to break. So that's what happened at the end of the game when they let ETN score. But that defense played their tails off for 3.5 quarters, with the offense basically being vanilla the entire second half. We might have one of the better defenses that is not being talked about. I'm going to just say that loosely.
Absolutely.
So with that said, we're playing the Houston Texans that don't have the threats on offense that the Jacksonville Jaguars have. So I think we might really heat them up a lot, turn them over, more so than we did Jacksonville. And this could be an easy game for us if the offense can just make 3 points every drive. My thoughts, for real. I really Kwity Paye is a monster. There was a play in the game that I don't know if you guys remember. I know how much I love Kwity. He absolutely put his arm underneath the arms of a tackle and threw him to the ground with one move.
I've seen that. I remember
Got
seeing
to the
that,
quarterback. Yeah. Insane. Like, this kid has improved tremendously. Dio had big play after big play, blocking passes. D-Buck was an absolute monster. Zaire was a monster. 18 tackles. Had a huge hit. Darius Shaq came back with 8 tackles. Those guys were playing their tails off, bro. So, yeah, I really think the keys to this game are simply put, defense play like you played last week. Don't change a thing. Offense convert when the defense gives you opportunities. And stop running the damn screen pass. Shit.
Even though it worked.
One time. It worked one time.
Yeah, it worked one time.
One out of 94 times.
That's the most it's worked in the last 5 years.
Man, I don't care. I don't want to see it. Stop it. Stop.
I agree.
Run it again, Shane.
Stop it. I don't want to see it. I get sick and tired of seeing it. It absolutely makes my blood boil to see
you
that.
Can say it makes your ass itch. It's okay.
Are you holding a sharp weapon when you say something like that? What is wrong with you? It's like some prison talk. That was real prison-esque. I don't like that for you right now, sir. That is sick, like the t-shirt says. You sick bastard. Shout out to sick. No, but for real, man, just do what they did last week. Offense convert, and I think we win this game handily. What do you guys say?
I think so too. I think the way their defense was set last week, you didn't see much out of Pierce. I don't think we're going to see that kind of coverage this week. So I'm expecting Pierce to get a lot more involved.
Yeah, I get that.
If we're talking about receivers, Pat, Honestly, that was T.Y.'s second home, is in GR Stadium, right? He made his second home there. I think it's going to belong to Josh Downs this game. I think he's going to be the breakout wide receiver this game. For some reason, man, in that house, they cannot take into account a fucking slot receiver for nothing.
This is facts. This is facts. And Josh Downs had a couple plays last game that were pretty electric.
They were.
And it's crazy. I don't know if you guys watched it, but they replayed the game on NFL Network, I believe, Monday night. So I was watching both games simultaneously. I was watching, the Jets game, and I was watching the replay of our game. It looked way faster on TV than it did in person. Like, Josh Downs looked electric on TV, more so than he did, in person. And maybe that's just because we're in the midst of the game and everything's happening and we're not maybe seeing everything. But watching it on TV, I'm like, yo, that dude is a problem. So if we just find how to scheme him up, as much as we can, Anthony Richardson then has that go-to guy. I think even when we can't run the ball like we need to be effective, I think that his play and their chemistry as it continues to grow will open the game up for us. Because Jacksonville just had it really, really, really easy in the second half. Really easy. They just stayed in a basic over 2 type defense and just played everything over the top and made him come underneath. And even when he came underneath, the guys wasn't really getting to the spaces they need to. And losing Ogletree early hurt us bad because Ogletree was a monster. He only caught one pass, but he was just making space. He was creating avenues for like Downs to come underneath or Pierce to come under, or I'm sorry, Pittman to come underneath. So losing him early really like changed everything. So, growing pains, but like Anthony said, he's upbeat, he's ready. He learned from that and he's already moved on. Gotta love the kid. Gotta love the kid for that.
Absolutely.
Kudos to that type of mentality. Kudos to what he's doing as a statesman to the team, to statements to the city. Staying late, signing autographs, buying his teammates these exact headphones. No, he did not buy these for me. I wish I paid for these myself. But Anthony, I would love to get a gift too, boy, my guy. But no, in all seriousness, man, like we really got a guy. And so I'm really excited for the future with this kid. So, yeah, man. Another thing I want to bring up, and it's NFL based. I don't know if you guys caught this, but on Sunday, right, 14 teams trotted out an African American quarterback. That's incredible, bro. That's incredible. From the time that I started watching football to this moment, I can remember the days when it was just Warren Moon. Or then maybe it was Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham, and then every now and then somebody else would come around, Dante Culpepper, Michael Vick, Jason Campbell for McNabb, but it was never like half the league almost was trotting out a quarterback that was African American. And though we are, in times where this is a much more diverse country, it's still amazing to see that sometimes this is not the norm quite yet, because we see many kids in college playing quarterback, but that doesn't always translate to the NFL. So it's amazing to see that. So that's something that I'm proud of, and I'm glad that this game is just growing for everyone, and it doesn't have to look a certain way. So that was pretty cool.
I think everybody should take some pride into that. Especially if you're a sports fan and you've played sports before.
I agree. Absolutely.
We don't see color as players. We see brothers. We bleed sweat, with each other just to win a damn game.
Absolutely.
But it instills a brotherhood in you.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And now for these, I don't know how you want to call it, old heads. to start thinking, in a rational way, not a collar way. He ain't going to play on my team because he's black, or he ain't playing on my team because he's Indian, or he ain't playing on my team because he's bald. It just makes no friggin' sense.
I love how you described me and you just now.
That last one, I don't think that last one was ever a thing. But okay. Definitely.
Yeah, I was getting my point. I think everybody should take a lot of pride in that,
Fair
because
enough.
it's not about skin color. It's about talent. It's about winning. It's about that brotherhood, And for us on this side of the field, it's about fandom.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so we come to that part of the show where we got to absolutely get to it. And so last week, I was right. Y'all were homers, and y'all chose the Colts, and y'all lost. And I lost ultimately because I'm a Colts fan, and I had to choose the damn Jaguars. Okay, so because I won last week, I'll go first. And I don't have my soundboard, so you can't Omaha me. But I am definitely picking the Colts this week. No
Surprise,
Houston Texans.
surprise.
Oh,
What a
shut up.
homer!
All right.
What a homer!
I still gotta say. I mean, I still gotta stick to our guns. Like we did our predictions, and we're all probably gonna look like goons, not knowing that Jonathan Taylor wasn't gonna be a part of this team for maybe the foreseeable future or forever.
Now,
But
Let me interrupt you, Clyde. If Jonathan
yeah,
Taylor was on the field, do we win that game?
I think absolutely,
I think so too. I absolutely
absolutely,
100% believe we would have crushed
absolutely,
them.
because they have to respect that. So if they see Jonathan Taylor back there, they gonna come out 7, 8 in the box. Now what do you have? 1-on-ones. You got a whole bunch of things you can do, and Shane needs that. Even though he didn't have a stud running back last year, they had great blocking, and Miles Sanders did what he needed to do to give Jalen Hurts these lanes, right? Because Jalen Hurts
Yep.
could cut you up as well. But nobody's going to respect Anthony Richardson RPOing to Deion Jackson. Why do you think that's going to work? Nobody cares about Deion Jackson. I'm sorry, Deion Jackson, if you ever come on the show. But, dude, you're not. Never mind. Let me just stop. Anyway, let me go back to my prediction. Indianapolis
What?
Colts over the Houston Texans, 24-10. I'm going for the gusto. We're that much better than them. And the first of many between C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson. The first of many. All right, Pat. You were talking, so you go.
I'm definitely going to go Colts. I'll say 24-17. I think we give up a late touchdown that ain't going to mean much.
Okay. Acosta.
I'm heavily relying on our defense for this game, and I think it's really gonna shine. Anthony Richardson's gonna shine a little more. So, Colts 27-7.
Oh, wow. 27-7. Okay. I like all the predictions. We are all in agreement that we go down to NRG and we get our first W of the season. I can dig it. One thing that we have to keep in mind, too, this is pretty unique, but Anthony Richardson in the same division as C.J. Stroud. So they're going to play often. Same division as Will Levis. At some point, I think he's going to get the stick because, man, you want to talk about somebody that stunk it up? Wow, Tannehill was terrible on Sunday. Sorry, Sammy. But, man, listen.
Yeah,
That was
he's not
bad.
the guy. He's not the guy.
No, he's not. So, he's going to play him eventually. And then ultimately this year, he'll get to play, Bryce Young because we played Carolina in Carolina right before the game in Germany. So it's really cool to see these top quarterbacks face off early in their career. I think that's something to talk about.
It's
But
awesome.
yeah, man, I believe that we'll be a happy fan base this Sunday. We better damn be. We're better than Houston Texans. I know Shane Steichen is probably absolutely, pushing these boys to get on track this week with or without some of our key players like Quinn Richardson. But I think we still have enough to do the job. You guys got any closing remarks? Any reattacks before we get out of here?
I got a closing question.
Oh God! So
How do
everybody
you
strap
guys
in.
how do you guys feel about Shane going for all the fourth and ones, fourth and twos that he did last week? Are you okay with that, or are you saying shit? We left points on the field.
I'll let you take this one first, Acosta.
I liked it in a way. It was just showing that I felt like this was more coach's intuition more than analytical. Because I mean, the play calls that he made were good play calls on 4th and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 3, what have you. The defense just cut it short, I think, and the running game that we had was definitely just not working. If JT was on the field, we definitely would have converted those downs. Going back to what Clyde said, that's probably one of the key points. If Jonathan Taylor was on the field, we would have won that game because he would definitely converted them 4th downs. Just my thoughts.
And for me, like you said, yes, this is more to me. That was more like, hey, I'm feeling good about this versus analytics. And we know Frank was very strategic. I'm not saying that this Shane's not, but the one thing that I don't really love about so many of those is I feel like 4th downs, and you can go back and watch Philly last year. Like they had a whole bunch of rhythm when they were going for 4th down. So usually they would just go up, quick snap it, do the whole Jalen Hurts push, get the sticks moved, and not even think about it. We tried that 2 times and got absolutely stymied both times. And Anthony Richardson is much larger than Jalen Hurts. So what does that really say? In my opinion, it says that this team isn't based to that rhythm quite yet, because that's how you get that going. Jason Kelsey is the center of Philadelphia Eagles. Like he probably doesn't even have to say anything. He just knows 4th and this much. This is the move. This is the block scheme. Let's push it. Let's get it. I don't know if Ryan Kelly was locked in. I don't know if the entire group was locked in. I don't know what, but for him to be 6'4" and they can't get less than a yard once or twice, that's a problem. So that's just something we got to work out. I think that's more of a rhythm call. But I'm not upset at all of the calls. But I was very, very, very surprised at what some of those calls came. Midfield, twice it was at midfield. Once we tried to pass it, once we tried, the Hurts push and didn't get either one, because that was just incredible to see. So we have a brand new coach. We have a brand new philosophy, and we're just going to have to lock in and learn how to play this way. Because for 5 years we've been playing very controlled football. Don't get me wrong. Frank Wright went for his amount of 4th downs, but they always had a strategy that didn't look strategized at all. It's just like I want this drive to continue, so let's make it go. My thoughts.
I liked it for the fact that he's showing a lot of confidence in that O line, and if you're going to build that O line, that's what they need. They need to know that the coach has 100% confidence in you. We can get this done. Now, did they get it done? No. You're 100% right on the rhythm. They got to work on that. There's several things they got to work on, but they know this coach is behind them now. They know this coach is not afraid to push that and to push them, and that's good. That's a good thing going forward.
Yeah, it's building blocks. I mean, the whole season doesn't ride or die on 1 week, but no moral victories. There's a couple that reporters said, but I think there's a lot of good to take out of this. And this is not a game where we just look like, oh man, is any of this shit going to work? Excuse my French. We actually seen a lot of it work. We actually seen a lot of good things. We just couldn't make the plays when you needed to. So with that said, there's a lot of optimism going forward. But I think it really starts with what are we going to do with 28? And so these next 3 weeks are going to be so nerve-wracking. Because right now nothing's being said outside of, hey, if he had to pass a physical today, he could do it. But then there's still people chiming in like, oh, trade talks. And, you look at the betting apps and seeing where Jonathan Taylor may land. And I'm like, at what point are we going to get back to the fact that people should say his best bet is to bring his tail back to Indianapolis versus trying to, lock into the Dolphins or this and that and whoever else. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. We don't have time for that. We're sticking to a time limit, so we're there. So thank you for tuning in to another Sick Podcast, Anvil Show. Now that the season's, back in the swing of things, we're giving you 2 times each week with a after game reaction. Lots of freaking contests coming your way from us. We will say we started the Bang That play of the day, but we have to learn the hard way. We can't quite clip the videos like we want, so we might screenshot them instead of clipping them. But this week, without a doubt, you guys voted, and the voting goes to Defoe and Zaire for their amazing play to the whistle. It's a weird play, but it ended up being 6 for us, so way to go, boys. Absolutely. And with that, Sammy, wrap us up.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast and Bill Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.